Hi everyone, this is Select and Use Evidence video 3. In this video, we'll break down some terms and vocabulary related to sources and organizations that you'll likely encounter as you research your topic. I'm Jessica Krieger and I teach AP Capstone Seminar at St. Petersburg Catholic High School in St. Petersburg, Florida. Let's get started. As a new researcher, you're bound to come across a variety of new vocabulary and terms during the research process. In this video, we'll focus on understanding some broad vocabulary related to types of organizations and websites you might encounter in your research. This knowledge should be useful as you move forward in your research, as these terms will help you begin to determine the credibility of sources you encounter and their relevance to your inquiry. A skill set covered in depth by Mr. Byrne in Evaluate Sources videos 2, 3, and 4. Most AP seminar students obtain their source material through internet research. As you search the web for sources that will both inform your understanding of your topic and be used to build your argument, it's important for you to be able to recognize and understand what an internet domain name can and cannot tell you about a specific website. So let's look at some of the most common domain suffixes. .com is by far the most common domain suffix that you're going to encounter. Com is short for commercial, and this domain suffix was originally set aside for-profit businesses. It's now open to anyone, meaning that there are no restrictions on who can establish a website using the .com suffix. .org was originally reserved for nonprofit businesses. Org is short for organization. But like .com, it is now an open domain suffix, meaning websites ending in .org can literally be created by anyone. .edu indicates that a site is owned and operated by a college or university in the United States, and this includes trade schools and for-profit colleges. The .gov suffix is used by offices within the United States government. Less common than .com or .org, but still prevalent is .net. This domain suffix was originally intended to be reserved for internet network operating systems, but it's now, again, open access, meaning anyone can use that domain suffix. Domain suffixes can also indicate the nation the website is registered in through the inclusion of country codes. So you can see here on the screen, we've used the example of .uk for the United Kingdom and .cn for the People's Republic of China. I'd want to draw your attention to a common misconception that I see in my own AP seminar students, and that is that students somehow believe that .edu and .org websites are inherently credible. Don't fall into that trap. As we've seen, anyone can create a .org site. So you need to be sure that you're doing the work necessary to independently establish the credibility of sources and evidence you intend to use in your arguments. You can get more information on how to do that in Evaluating Sources and Evidence videos 2, 3, and 4. In addition to understanding the domain suffixes you encounter during web searches, there are several types of organizations that you might come across when researching the sources of information and evidence you find during your research. Heading to the About page for a website or organization is a common first step students use in determining who's behind the information they're reading. One broad term used to describe groups or organizations you may encounter when researching is international organization. Those groups which label themselves as international organizations are generally made up of multiple member nations and their government's official representatives. International organizations may represent nations from around the world, or they may be regionally focused. In general, these organizations are bound together by treaties or other international laws. Some examples of international organizations include the United Nations, which is sometimes referred to simply as the UN, the World Health Organization, or WHO, and the World Trade Organization. Non-governmental organizations, or NGOs for short, are nonprofit groups which operate outside national governments. NGOs can be issue or cause focused or dedicated to a broad range of causes. They may work internationally or regionally around the world. Some examples of NGOs include the medical humanitarian focused NGO Doctors Without Borders, the International Human Rights Centered NGO Amnesty International, and the environmental protection NGO Greenpeace. A think tank is a group or organization which both collects research and also publishes ideas and policy recommendations related to solving complex problems. Some think tanks cover a broad range of topics, while others specialize in specific areas like economics or politics. Think tanks can be privately funded, or they may receive government funds to support their work. Some think tanks can be neutral sources of information, while others may lean toward more conservative or liberal ideologies in the policy recommendations they make. Examples of think tanks include Brookings Institution, the French Institute of International Relations, and the Heritage Foundation. Professional organizations are groups made up of individual members. Rules about who can join or become a member of these groups varies according to the bylaws of each professional organization. Some professional organizations require that members hold a particular certification, license, or other formal designation within a field or profession, while others may have fewer rules regarding who can join the group and might include anyone with a professional interest in a given topic. Some professional organizations publish newsletters or magazines dedicated to their area of interest, and some even publish academic journals in their field. Because of the broad nature of this category, it's particularly important that you do the work of researching individual professional organizations as you attempt to establish the credibility of sources that you're using. Some examples of professional organizations you can see here on the screen are the American Society of Criminology, the Council of Fashion Designers of America, and the American Academy of Pediatrics. So what should we take away from this video? Research studies are produced, published, and promoted by a variety of different organizations. As you consider what sources to incorporate in your arguments and in your efforts to establish the credibility and relevance of the research you find, you'll need to understand some of the vocabulary commonly used to define these organizations. Understanding this vocabulary is a small step in understanding the origins of the articles, reports, data, and evidence you find during your research process. Once you know where to find the information and where that information came from, you can begin the work of establishing the credibility and relevance of the evidence you choose to use to support your arguments. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.